Hi everybody, welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel and podcast. Newcastle United have just absolutely demolished Leicester City at the King Power Stadium. 3 goals to the good on a Boxing Day bonanza of a game. I'm Scott, I'm your host for this reaction. I am joined by Kris, Iain and Joe. Lads, hope you had a good Christmas. How was everyone today?
Anyone for
No, what did he go first?
Mate, I'm still speechless after watching that.
Yeah. Well, we are doing a podcast, so if you can think of something to say, that would be grand.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, we'll jump straight into it. Kris, going into this game, you saw the lineup, no Callum Wilson. Were you worried with that?
Yeah, I jumped straight in the Telegram group and said I'm a little bit more worried now going into this one, because I think every time you see Callum Wilson's name not on that team sheet, not even featuring on the bench, you feel as if your chances drop in regards percentage wise. And I was a bit worried, but then as soon as the match kicks off, you think straight away, why am I worried? And we've been here so many times where we're missing key players, and we've said this plenty of times where we're missing Isaac, we'll be missing St. Max, we'll be missing Wilson, and we still get a result. So I don't know why I'm worried anymore, because we're literally the best team that the Premier League has ever seen.
Yes, we definitely 100% are the best team that the Premier League has ever seen, and I will have no one speak another word of it other of the sorts. Joe, we did the preview for this game earlier this week, and I don't think any of us predicted a win. I think we all predicted draws. Iain and I think did 0-0, and I think you were 1-1 or a 2-1 or something like that. So
1-1.
1-1. Were you surprised just by how? Were you surprised by how bad Leicester were?
Yeah. It's interesting because we've spoken about how will this break affect Newcastle negatively in terms of breaking their momentum, breaking that just that fluidity that we've developed throughout the season. And we kind of looked at Leicester in the same vein, obviously on a smaller scale. They've only been the last sort of 7-8 games where they've actually sort of turned it around. But we thought, they could well come back being quite sharp, and it's just not happened for them. It's very surprising, very surprising. They didn't even look like they were going to really challenge us bar 2 or 3 occasions, which I was very surprised at. What was more encouraging than anything else is just to see how sharp we were. I know that Leicester didn't help themselves, but we really nullified anything that they had, and that was so encouraging to see for the season going forward. But yeah, I was very surprised at how sort of lackadaisical they were.
It was a stranger because Leicester were poor, but I think we had a lot to do with the reasons for them being so poor. We pretty much, like I said, nullified anything they wanted to do. We managed the game very, very well, and obviously in getting the early goals, just kind of it almost killed the game off after the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, it does. Like you said, because we've touched on sort of the couple of games that we've played sort of from the end of the World Cup, the friendly a couple of weeks ago, and then the Cup game. We just said it just looked like we lacked that intensity, whether that's because of the opponent, whether it's what we said was like match rustiness. But straight from the off, you seen that they were up for it, and I think it was 90 seconds or something like that. We were pressing, we won the ball back. Joelinton runs through and then gets brought down, and it sort of set the tone for the rest of the afternoon. Though obviously in the second half, when the game was virtually won, we eased off a bit, but still there was spells where we're pressing and forcing them into mistakes. But that first half was probably arguably the best I've seen them play this season. Like everyone to a man, not just sort of 2 or 3 players. It was literally everyone. It was really, really good to see.
Yeah, it was a complete team performance, Kris, and like Iain said, there was no standout bad performances. I don't think you could rate anyone lower than an 8 unless you're the Chronicle, and everyone will get 6s probably. But we'll come to the first goal. Obviously, Iain mentioned that it was within 90 seconds. We got the penalty, and it's a Stonewall penalty. Joelinton breaks through the defence, and the defender just misjudges his tackle and kicks him in the top of the foot there. But then Chris Wood steps up to take the penalty, and we've seen him take these before, but were you surprised with him going straight down the middle, given the fact he normally wellies them in the top corner, or is it just another bow to his feather when it comes to penalties that Chris Wood has?
It's a game of chance, really, isn't it? When you step up for a penalty and you smash it down the middle. But he absolutely wellies that, mate, and safe as houses for Kris Wood when he stepped up for a penalty. Was so it just last week it was, I think. He can score a great penalty. He really can.
Yeah.
And whether it's him or Callum Wilson stepping up to take that, I'm as full of confidence as each other. I wouldn't mind who was taking that penalty. I think the team's full of decent penalty takers, to be honest with you. If Wilson's not taking it, Wood's taking it. Even Trippier, can imagine Trippier just welling that as well. So I'm confident with Wood there, and surprised to see him going down the middle. Confident as always, mate.
I think Fabian shares a pretty decent penalty taker as well in the past.
His technique's horrible though. He does like the really slow run up and like it's like a half-assed pass. But I don't think he's missed many. But Kris Wood's penalty. I was thinking like, does he go top corner like where he went against Vallecano? But I think that early in the game is very similar to how like late penalties, they're just twatted down the middle, just make sure it's on target and it should go in. But yeah, I'm the same as Kris.
You look a bit stupid, mind, if you go straight down the middle and it gets saved. But the power that he puts in that shot, the keeper's not going to catch that for a penalty. He's just going to parry that out, and chances are it's going to end up straight back to Kris Wood anyway. But yeah, either way, it was a great penalty.
It was, and then it wasn't that long after that we got the second goal. The man in form, Miggy Almiron, playing beautiful link-up football, liquid football with Bruno Guimaraes once again, playing that little 1-2, which has just unlocked so many defences this season. It's unreal. And long may it continue. I'm all for defences not watching those highlights and not picking up that that's going to happen, because they nearly got in again later on. But Joe, was it a well-deserved goal again for Miggy, do you feel?
Absolutely. I thought, not to jump too much ahead, but his work rate, we've always said that his work rate is something that we've always obviously loved. Probably his best asset since he's been since he came here for us. But he never had that end product until obviously recently, so the last year or so when he's been consistent. It's just so nice seeing him combine all that together, and we are seeing this beautiful consistency that is just propelling him through the season. It's phenomenal, and I'm just so happy for him. It was just a really well worked goal. One that it was one of those where it was just the bravery, it was the confidence that is just a trademark of our season. We're not afraid to test defenses, to drive straight at players, and it was just a fantastic reward for a great goal. And like you said earlier on, it really killed the game off. You know, that made it 2-0 within inside 7 minutes, and from then on, game management. That's what we've been doing so well this season. So it was a great start, obviously, and well deserved.
Well, back to seeing that triangle, weren't we? Though that Bruno,
Absolutely.
Trippier, and Almiron throughout the game, throughout it. It's great just to have club football back. I was sat watching that game, just smiling.
You realise just how you miss those kind of link-ups between certain players that you just don't get with international football, do you? Those little dinks over from Trippier into Miggy, you know, it's become a bit of a trademark.
Yeah,
but they work.
It works every single time.
It works so well, and people don't know how to deal with it. No. The pace is phenomenal. Miggy's very left-footed, but then you've got Trippier's right foot to compensate for that, and it's just been one of the highlights of the season for us.
It has. I think so. I was watching it on US coverage, and their commentator said that was our fastest ever 2-0 lead in the Premiership. Within 8 minutes to go 2-0 up. It's the first time we've ever done it in that short amount of time.
They come out with some stupid stats. Like what? Who cares?
No one cares, but it's a nice thing. It's a nice thing to know anyway. So pub quiz. If you ever get that question, it was against Leicester on Boxing Day in 2022. There was a penalty shout for Leicester towards the end of the first half. It was actually a great save by Nick Pope in the end, but Daka kept getting through kind of the middle of our two defence, and I thought that was going to cause him a bit of a problem, but wasn't for me enough to be a penalty. I think Nick Pope did very well in making the save, and it was just the follow through that catches him. Iain, were you surprised to see Daka go off at half time and Vardy come on, considering how good he was doing in that first half?
Yeah, I said in the group chat, he looked like he was having a bit of joy, especially on the break. I think he's he's very, very quick anyway.
Yeah.
And I don't think we were getting sort of careless, but there was just times when we were getting caught a little bit. And like you say, he was splitting the two centre halves and getting some joy. So to be honest, it took us a good 10-15 minutes to realise that he had went off, because I literally missed about the first 30 seconds of the second half. But it was quite surprising. But I think that they tried possibly the same with Vardy. But again, like I say, this season, time and time again, we've come up against different types of strikers, and we haven't looked nervy or uncomfortable. Obviously, it helps when you've got a really good centre half partnership, which I think is what we've got in Botman and Shaw at the minute. And then obviously Dan Burn again doing another fantastic job at left back, and then Kieran Trippier is composed and is a leader as always. So I never other than the two sort of chances he got in the first half, I never really thought we looked threatened at all. I thought we dealt with them really, really well and sort of confined them to little half chances.
I think we're having so much joy as well, like with further up the field, it was just making that line just step even further up the field, hence why we nearly got caught a couple of times on the counter-attack. Because, like I said, we had so much possession, we're so comfortable with the ball as well. I think everybody wanted a piece of that as well. So we've got two defenders in Botman and Fabian Schär who are really comfortable with the ball as well. So they just wanted a bit of the action in midfield as well. So everybody just pushes that further up the field, don't they?
Well, you've seen that with Schär's run in the second half.
It's a little adventure.
Yeah.
The Hatton Ben Arthur-esque run.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we'll come to the second half in just a minute, but before we do that, there is obviously the third goal to talk about. It's a Kieran Trippier corner. Again, another brilliant ball in the box from him, and Joelinton's probably the easiest header that he'll ever have to make. I don't even think he jumps for it much. And he just hits it straight past the goalkeeper, and it's 3-0. It's nice to see Joelinton get some goals this season. It was the one thing that people were, even though the resurgence has happened and he's turned into the player he has, people were still criticising him for the goals he wasn't scoring. So it's nice to see him. I think that's his third or his fourth this season already. So it's nice to see him get a few on the score sheet. And it was a well-taken header, to be fair.
It's another Geordie Brazilian baby en route as well, by the looks of it, Scott.
Yeah.
With that celebration.
Looking at the celebration. He ran straight up. And Bruno's reaction, I think the Always Smiling Faces Twitter account tweeted a nice little picture of the two of them celebrating as well. So that was it was good to see. But we go 3-0 up into half time, and you're kind of thinking, well, what are Leicester going to do to hurt her? And like we said, they made the change. They brought on a change in striker. And for the first sort of 10 minutes of that second half, it was all Leicester. But you would expect that. You would expect that the home team to be behind by much they are. They're going to try and do whatever they can. And Joe, it kind of took us a little bit to maybe find our footing in the second half, but I think also we controlled the game very, very well in that kind of first 10, 15 minutes, just to make them believe they had a chance.
Yeah.
And then break them down afterwards.
No, agreed. The brilliant thing was that we didn't need to do anything major in the second half. The one thing that I found throughout the season is that I've been very calm when we've been in the lead, whether it's 1-2 or 3 goals. Never before, I think, have we seen a team that is so good at game management, so good at just controlling and nullifying what the opposition do. And we saw that in the second half. Yeah, okay, they had a few more chances. They brought Vardy on. He caused a lot of some problems. But at the same time, we never really looked like conceding, I don't think. And it was brilliant. You sat there just comfortable. You're thinking there's but bar some kind of defensive mishap, there is no real reason why we should concede. And there's no real reason for us to really push to try and go for a fourth. And that's what we did. I think that is one thing that's been fantastic about this team. For the most part, we've nullified teams and we've not needed to be on the offensive, on the press for 90 minutes of a game. It's not necessary. And that's just down to Eddie Howe and his brilliant coaching. It's just another fine example.
Such a nice change, though, considering we used to go, 1-0 up and you'd be like, okay, well, it'll be opposition goal in the next 10, 15 minutes or even sooner. But now to think, okay, we'll get another one. That'll be fine. And then you get that other one, and then you get a third, and it's like, okay, let's relax. Let's, not take the foot off the gas, but at least let's not lose our heads and throw away this. And we haven't done this season, bar the Man City game, but it's Man City. We haven't really given away a lead too much, but you're playing probably one of the best teams in Europe, so you can be forgiven for that sort of thing. Focus a little bit on the middle of the field, that kind of 3 midfield partnership of Bruno, Longstaff, and Willock, which seems to be working week in, week out. And with the news that John Joe Shelvey is out for another 6 to 8 weeks with a calf injury that came out just before kickoff, Kris, it's working, right? Those 3 just seem to be so in sync, so in harmony that, we can almost allow a player to be injured for a certain amount of time because those 3 are just doing so well.
They all offer something different, mate. They really do. I've been a big fan of Willock, and I've mentioned a few times on the reactions and the previews that I still think he's got something else to give. I feel as if he holds back a little bit, and he's still got something else in there what we haven't seen yet. Bruno, you know what you're going to get from Bruno. It's man of the match performance almost every single game. I think he got man of the match again today, from the commentary which was shown. Longstaff, I've seen Longstaff get quite a bit of criticism, saying that he's the weak link in the centre of the midfield, in the centre of the park. I'm starting to disagree massively with that because his work rate today, mate, was ridiculous. Yes, he's not the best footballer. He's not the most comfortable with the ball at his feet, but he will literally graft his arse off for that full 90 minutes, and you need somebody like that in the team that will do it, that'll win you the ball, and that's it. Just break the player up. That's all that he does, and I'm happy for him to do that. Yes, he's not the fastest. He's not going to be creating as many chances as the likes of Bruno and Willock. We're not expecting him to do so. You need somebody like Longstaff in the centre of the field, and I thought he had a great game again today.
And we'll not be comparing Longstaff to Lionel Messi like we did last time in the reactions. No, but it's nice to see. I think with Joe Willock, you see him drift off towards the left, and him and Joelinton kind of play that hybrid where they'll switch around a bit, and that's really nice to see that we've got that option as well. And it's almost like when we do attack, Dan Burn will stay back and make a back 3. When we attack, Joe Willock will join Joelinton on that left and almost make like a front 5, which really, I don't think opposition teams know how to deal with that. They don't know who to mark. They don't know what's going on, and it's all credit to Eddie Howe and his tacticians. Because
it's not just that, Scott. Like, you've got to think about when we don't have the ball, we're still closing down in packs of 3, so they don't know where to go because they're literally getting hunted down by a handful of players, and they can't pass the ball out. Which most Premier League teams now, they want to pass that ball out from the back. We don't give anybody the chance to do that. They just end up lumping it forward or misplacing the pass. But we saw it so many times today from Leicester, where there's just a misplaced pass and a Newcastle player ready to go, ready to start again.
Yeah, I thought the tracking back by Miggy and Joelinton was second to none.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic, and that's what we need.
Yeah, Miggy was getting all over the pitch at times, and it was just like, okay, and you'd blink and you'd be, oh, he's joined the attack as well. Okay, well, he's obviously got the energy to do that. He's like a little Energizer bunny. You'll just keep going, and let's hope we got fresh batteries for Christmas so we can just keep on going for the rest of the season. There's been talks today about Miggy Almiron getting a new contract, or talks opening from a new contract. I think Fabrizio Romano's put something on Twitter during the game. It's well deserved. I think, because no one's going to complain. I think maybe 6 months ago there might have been a question of whether or not Miggy stays, but he's earned that new contract if that is the truth and that is going to happen. So
does it worry a little bit that the fact that you see it so many times where a player who's in decent form gets a new contract, then they drop a little bit?
If it wasn't Miggy, yes. But I think with Miggy, he always has that. He always has that kind of energy about him, and he's always trying 100%. I think the difference now with Miggy is that he's got the players around him where the skill that he's always had is now just shown, and there's a difference to him making just the runs and no one passing the ball to him or no one using him in the way that he can. And I think Kieran Trippier even said in one of his interviews this week, is like, me and Eddie Howe have been talking to Miggy, and I talk him throughout the game, and I'm like, look, you make these runs and I'll find you in this and that. So, like I say, the players around Miggy have made Miggy a better player. And I don't think him getting a new contract is really going to stifle that performance. I think he's proven that he can do it week in, week out.
It's good to see that he's actually got that position and he's made it his own now, because over previous managers we've seen Miggy play all over the field. We really have.
Yep.
He's made that position his own now. And like you said, the arrival of Trippier, I would say mainly Trippier and Bruno, have made him a completely different player.
Yeah. Well, it was funny when he got taken off. He wanted to go to the away fans and the referee wouldn't allow him. So he went off the pitch and walked the long way around so he could go past the away fans. So he's clearly now loving his football, where I think maybe 12 months ago, there was a question on whether or not Miggy would be leaving the club. I know his agent was kicking up a stink and saying he's got X amount on a buyout clause and whatever. He seems to have turned a corner not only in his football, but in his love for the club and the team. So, yeah, it's great to see. We'll talk a little about the substitutes who came on, because obviously St. Maximin featured Jacob Murphy. And also Matt Ritchie made an appearance, I think, for the first time this season. And it was nice to see him play in his old role of, right midfielder or right winger, however you want to be. He wasn't playing left back. He wasn't playing right back, sorry. They kept Dan Burn there. I've got my left and rights mixed up there, haven't I? Yeah. Doesn't matter. But he came on the pitch and he did a job. But St. Maximin, Iain, did you see much from him? He only had about 9 minutes, I think. What were your thoughts on his performance?
Was that to me just because you went a little bit jumpy? It's probably my Wi-Fi.
Yeah, sorry. I said Iain.
No, that's fine. He looked busy. It's very much similar to what he has done the last few games, where he's come on. He's brought that little bit of energy when possibly we were dropping a little bit. If I remember, it looked like he was, when Chris Wood went off, it looked like he was playing sort of through the middle. But he was playing he was playing across the sort of the front line. But no, he looked like he wanted to link up with players a lot more today. Again, similar to what I've said the last couple of weeks, it's not a world-class performance, but definitely not one of his poorer games. He looked busy, looked exciting. So obviously, I think it was the message he put out just before Christmas that we weren't ready for what was about to come. So hopefully that can still transpire, and we still haven't seen what is the best to come from him. But he would be one, and as exciting as a player he would be the one that is needing to fight for his place. The likes of Almiron has proved his worth at the club. Even like the likes of Joelinton, even the likes of Kraft towards the end of last season, Shelby before his injury, they've all stepped up. So it would be nice to see him be next in line for the Eddie Howe treatment.
I think the issue with that, just to pinch this, Scott, and Joe, I think you mentioned this on one of the previews, that if you take Joelinton out of that team, you don't just lose that one player. Let's say if Saint comes in for Joelinton for some reason, you don't just lose that. And like you mentioned earlier, Scott, you lose the ability to change between Willock and Joelinton on the left-hand side, and Dan Burn as well. He's going to be a hell of a lot busier if it is just Saint Maxim on that left-hand side, when you've got the opportunity to. There's so much, and so the dynamics on the left-hand side of the field. I know we speak about the right-hand side a lot with Trippier, Bruno, and Almiron, but that left-hand side is just as important as well, because the way they can move and swap positions between each other is great. It really isn't. I can't remember a time where we've seen that on the left-hand side of the field in recent years.
Yeah, it's. I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing St. Maximum drift so much, because I think Eddie Howe's like, look, find your place in this squad, because you're not getting on the right. We cannot replace these three. They're playing so well. The left is starting to solidify as well. You need to find your place here, otherwise you're going to find yourself on the bench a lot more. And he seems to be doing it, and they moved him in the middle. He's always said he's a number 10. He always said he prefers to play in that 10 role. We just don't utilize that number 10 position really. You're either box to box, or you're playing a bit deeper. So yeah, maybe he'll have to adjust his game. But we'll see. Like I say, it was only 7-8 minutes that he got, I think, in the end. So you can't really judge him too harshly on the performance or anything, because it didn't have long on there. And the same with Jacob Murphy. He came on. It didn't seem to do anything special, but he didn't do anything wrong either. So it's always good to see, that we can make those changes. I do think maybe the changes came a bit late, considering we were 3-0 up. I would have thought maybe Eddie Howe would have brought them on maybe around the 20-25 minutes to go mark, just to give them a bit more of a foothold in the game. But I think at that point, Leicester was starting to break us down a bit more, and we were taking our foot off the gas, so they were getting chances. So maybe he was just trying to steady the ship before he did those. But who cares in the end? It ended 3-0. We are now sitting second in the Premier League. Everybody pinch themselves. We are not dreaming. Here's another useless stat for you, Kris, that the commentators brought up. This is the first time since 2003 that we have been in second position. Not since the Bobby Robson era. So, obviously, Man City play tomorrow, so we'll see how long that lasts. I think Man City have got
Wednesday, I think, isn't it?
What is it?
Leeds. Wednesday.
It's
Leeds.
Monday today. Yeah. They've got Leeds on Wednesday.
Yeah.
As Mark put it, we are in the gooch of Christmas, so we'll
gooch of
find
Christmas
out what it is as it goes through. But unless anybody has anything else to add, we will wrap this one up, lads.
Yeah, I just want to say a massive shout out to the fans today. They were absolutely class.
Absolutely brilliant.
90 minutes. Daryl was there.
We were getting renditions of O Colaccini and all sorts.
Last Christmas, today. Jingle Bells. We had the whole rendition. Joey was loving it. He was singing along. Obviously, I put some of the voice clips. He had a whale of a time, but he's went and scrounged his pizza now, so he doesn't care.
Like I said, though, it's just great to have club football. But I know, like, we're watching the World Cup and international football, and yes, you miss club football. You miss seeing Newcastle United. But once it arrives, you didn't realise how much you missed it. Because, like I said, I'm sat there absolutely buzzing watching that match. And it felt like another game where we still really didn't perform to the best that we can.
No.
There's still something else to come. And I think, yes, it's another game where we'll win 3. Well, we'll score 3 and we'll absolutely batter a team. There's still something left in the locker. Yeah. There really is.
And I think other fans are starting to realise that as well. And there's been a few tweets going around this evening being like, these aren't even getting started yet and they're doing this well. It's like, what is to come? So
also nice as well, Scott, to break the ducts that we had, because we had looking the Boxing Day record. I think Bolton it was Palace at home when we won 5-1. That was the last time we won on Boxing Day.
You said that of all the Premier League teams, we are the lowest ranked in regards to wins on Boxing Day. Yeah.
Well, it's half the time we have like Man United.
It's normally a shock.
It's normally a really bad one.
It really is.
I don't think Eddie Howard ever won on Boxing Day either, and I don't think Eddie Howard ever won at Leicester. No. So record-breaking Boxing Day, which is always nice to see.
Can I ask you, lads, about expectations now for the season? We're approaching the halfway point. I know it's dangerous. Some people are saying title run. I think it's a little bit much. But now that we're approaching halfway and we seem to be consistent, where do you think we can go from here? Do you think that there'll be a drop-off?
If you ask somebody that doesn't follow football, right, and has no idea about the Premier League, and they look at that league table, Newcastle are in a title race. I know it's halfway through the season, but Newcastle in the title race. If you ask a Newcastle United fan, we will categorically say, no, we're not, because I think it's because we manage expectations a hell of a lot better than some would. Even though Arsenal, Man City, yes, we're in touch and distance, but I think we're a couple of games behind them. They've played a couple of games less than us. But we're definitely in a race for this top 4. And I wouldn't be surprised if we finish in the top 4. Not at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think, as a Newcastle fan, we all know your league position at Christmas means nothing. And, 96, 97 is a sharp reminder of that.
12 points clear.
Yeah, exactly. But like Kris said, I think, with Spurs dropping points today, with us being, I think it was 5 or 6 points away from Man U, who were in 5th, might even be more now. This team is going into every game with no fear, and that's dangerous for the other teams because, we can take anyone on. It's like when we had the cup draw, people were just like, there was the like, we wouldn't mind the easy game against Charlton, but I was thinking, bring on Man City, bring on whoever. Like we'll take them all on. Like,
we haven't even mentioned it there. The fact that we've just played Leicester and absolutely dominated from start to finish. We've got those in the quarterfinals at home at St James's Park.
Yeah,
might as well gift us of that already.
Treble. We'll sell the FA Cup as well. Come on.
Yeah. And we won that the trophy in Riyadh, so it's a quadruple. We're on for the quadruple, lads.
We'll get the Charity Shield afterwards as well. We'll do it all. But yeah, I'm at the beginning of the season I was like 8th would be a good finish. Now I'm thinking between 5th and 3rd is probably where we'll end up.
I think as long as it keeps, if the weeks keep on passing by and the games keep on going by, and the commentators and the pundits and the media are still saying, Newcastle are still around there, but they'll probably drop off. Long may that continue. They said the same about Leicester when Leicester won the league, and I'm not saying we're going to win the league, but as long as we stay the underdogs and we keep on flying under the radar to a certain degree, keep it that way.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, on all this positivity, I think we'll end it on a high, lads. Thanks very much for spending your Boxing Day with us. And thanks, Iain. Thanks, Joe. Thank you, Kris. If you like this sort of content, we will be doing match previews. I think the Always Smiling Faces podcast is probably back next week. Or does it come back tonight? Do you know?
It's not tonight, I know that.
It's not tonight. It will be back at some point. I'm hoping Extra Time will be back as well at some point in the near future. And we've also, like I said, you've got your previews, you've got your FPL show, and so much more on the way. If you like all this sort of stuff, just scroll down from this video and hit the little thumbs up. It'll get this into the feeds of other Newcastle fans. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button if you're not already, and that'll make sure that you see all the videos that we post in the coming weeks and forevermore. If you want to go that one extra step, you can also become a member. It is $2.99 a month, and that'll get you early access to all of these sort of videos, and plus access to the Telegram group, which there was talk about eating raw chicken before the match, and I don't know what's happened after that because I haven't been looking too much.
Jesus
It
Christ.
is raw chicken. We were talking about chicken sashimi before we came out. Something they do in Japan apparently, but I think that came off Callum Wilson being ill. People were talking about having raw turkey, but there you go. But anyways, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you all had a great Christmas, and I will see you for the match preview for Leeds, which will be coming up sometime this week. Bye, everyone.
Well, when you know.
Cheers, everyone.
Oh, we did. Oh, yes.